Okay, hi. So today we're going to talk a little bit about my January reading plans. I think a lot of booktube channels keep up on recent releases, following prizes and just like keeping, like you always see like anticipated 2023 releases. Like I've seen a lot of those videos come out. And I completely appreciate those channels for reading things as they come out, getting arcs of things, because I have no interest in reading arcs. I have no interest in being the first, one of the first people to read a book. I tried it probably in maybe that was 2018, 2019. And I found my reading was a lot more scattered in terms of how much I liked a book, because I appreciate hearing the context of the conversation, reviews of people I understand their reading, so I could know if it would work for me or not before I actually jump into a text. The thing about that is that I never really catch up. I listen and I hear about releases, and then there's an excitement about hearing about something that sounds like it will work for me, or just plot-wise has me intrigued. And then I never actually catch up and read them. So I'm trying a new way of bringing in the year this year. And in January, my general plan is to mainly read books that were released in 2022. So a front list. Of the 120-ish books I read in 2022, only 5 of them were 2022 releases, but I have added a bunch to my TBR. So I am going to enlist your help, and I'm going to go down the list of all the books that I have on my Goodreads TBR that I have some sort of interest in that were published in 2022. And I'm going to talk through maybe where I heard about them, or why they're on my list if I remember. Some of them it's just I heard of and I just added. And then I would appreciate help deciding which ones to read. I'm going to make space for 5 probably. In my reading, I have a buddy read I'm doing. I have a fan fiction obsession at this point that doesn't really seem to be going away. So 5 is my goal. I'm going in chronological order of books published in January of 2022 onward. And I'm looking down at my computer screen. So first one is Shit Cassandra Saw by Gwen E. Kirby. This is a short story collection that I saw when I was perusing a bookstore in May, and it was the cover. That's what did it. Fresh Banana Leaves, Healing Indigenous Landscapes Through Indigenous Science by Jessica Hernandez. Again, I saw this in a bookstore as I was perusing. I saw lower reviews, it didn't get the highest reviews, but it seemed interesting. 28 Questions by Indiana Schneider. No idea where I found this one. Oh, no, maybe I do. Maybe I remember seeing it on Instagram. Free Water by Dawson Amina Lukman. This is a middle grade, and I saw it again while I was perusing a bookstore. I do remember I was at an airport when I saw this one. When We Lost Our Heads by Heather O'Neill. I remember seeing a Goodreads review for this, for someone that I follow, and they kind of convinced me that it sounded really good. Seeking Fortune Elsewhere by Cynthia Banu. This is a short story collection, which I always love. Pure Color by Sheila Heti. I don't remember where I found this one. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baltree. This is one that I will definitely be getting to. It had so much hype. I have seen it loved across many different booktubers that usually do not have things in common, and it sounds really cozy, and so I think it's a good vibe for me right now, what I'm interested in reading. A Touch of Light by Thiago Abdallah. This is it looks like the first book in a high fantasy series. Red Paint, the ancestral autobiography of a Coast Salish punk by Sasha Lapointe. This is a nonfiction, memoir style. I almost read it in November for Skoden Readathon, but I just didn't get around to it. Disorientation by Elaine Hesia Chow. I didn't remember if I saw this on people's channels or not, but I think it was the cover that got me. Woman Eating by Claire Coda. I've seen reviews kind of flip-flopping on either side of the spectrum for this. It has something to do with, like, I want to say there's like a millennial vibe, there's a vampire thing going on, and it sounds like interesting, but like I've heard the execution isn't great from some people. Electra by Jennifer Saint. This is a Greek retelling. Maria and Other Stories by Marcia Rubio. This is a short story collection. I don't remember where I heard of this. Kaikei by Vaishnavi Patel. This is a high fantasy. It uses like mythology, like I think a Southeast Asian mythology. Again, I've heard like things on either side on this one. I've heard it's good, I've heard it's not that great. Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. I've seen so many books by T. Kingfisher show up in people's lists this year, or I've been seeing them a lot on Instagram, and this one looked the most interesting to me. Bad Mexicans, Race, Empire, and Revolution in the Borderlands by Kelly Little Hernandez. This is a nonfiction. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akweke Emezi. I love this author. I've loved everything I've read by this author. This is like their take on a romance, which I am excited for. This is probably one I will be getting to. Fruiting Bodies, Stories by Catherine Harlan. This is a short story collection. It sounded like kind of weird, maybe like bordering weird fiction if I remember, which I always am a sucker for the premise of, but not necessarily the execution of. Woman of Light by Kali Fajardo Onstein. This one, I read her debut short story collection, Sabrina and Karina, a few years ago and really liked it, so wanted to read this. I believe it's an intergenerational novel as well, which I always love. So this is probably one that I'll get to. Buffalo is the New Buffalo by Chelsea Vowell. I believe this is also a short story collection by an Indigenous author. Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun. This is a middle grade, like the start of a middle grade fantasy series, which sounded fun. Patricia Wants to Cuddle by Samantha Allen. This is written by an author I've read from before who wrote a nonfiction. Can't remember the name of it. It was like a road trip type thing. Calling for a Blanket Dance by Oscar Hokea. This is by an Indigenous author. It's, from my understanding, interconnected short stories, which is like something I've learned in the past year that I'm very much interested in as a concept. So this one I'm probably going to get to as well. Making Love with the Land by Joshua Whitehead. This is an essay collection. I've read his work. What was that called? I can see the cover. I can't think of the name. I wasn't a super huge fan of that book. It was very raw. I'll have it up or something. But he did edit a short story collection called Love After the End, and I really loved his introduction to it, and so I think nonfiction writing might be a place where I lean more into like how he writes, so looking forward to his essay collection. Okay, Babel by R.F. Kuang. This one I'm most definitely going to be getting to. I have read her Poppy War series and really liked it, and I think that the thing that held me back from liking that one more was the writing. It got progressively better as the series went on, and I've heard her writing has just continued to get better, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. My Government Means to Kill Me by Rashid Newson. I don't remember where I heard of this. Indigenous Pacific Islander Eco-Literatures. This is an anthology. It's out by, I kind of went down a rabbit hole of like presses, like academic presses, like from universities. I think this was out from a Hawaii, like the University of Hawaii Press, from like one of their recent collections that they put out. there's that one. And The Gathering Dark, an anthology of folk horror. I think this is a short story collection because it's an anthology. I think it's a bunch of different authors. I didn't really know what it meant by folk horror, so that was kind of intriguing for me, and I think I saw this on Instagram. Stone Blind, Medusa's Story by Natalie Hayes. I'm very excited for this one. Natalie Hayes wrote 1,000 Ships, which I just thought was lovely, and I've been wanting to read a Medusa retelling, and I was looking towards reading, God, what is her name? I am just like not good with names today. I've read one of her books, The Muse. Jessie Burton, that's what it is. Jessie Burton came out with one last year, but I wasn't a huge fan of The Muse, so then I saw Natalie Hayes came out with one, and I just appreciated her writing a lot more, so I'm looking forward to that. I hope to get to that one, although that one's more, we'll see. We'll see what January brings. Sinking Bell Stories. This is by an Indigenous author, and it's a short story collection. And the last one is White Horse by Erica Worth, and this is I think it's a horror novel, maybe. I saw a lot of people talking about reading it during Skjoden Readathon in November. So those were all of the ones that I have on my list. I also wanted to incorporate books that were translated this year. It's really hard to figure it out unless I had already tagged it as coming out in 2022. So because Goodreads goes by the published date of like the original text in the original language, not the English translation, which makes sense, but makes it hard to like filter by. So there's definitely others that were published in 2022 into English for the first time that I would have wanted to also add to this list. But I'm lazy and I'm not going to figure that out right now. I might just go to some of the long lists for translation awards and see if any of those like catch my eye. But yeah, that's all I have for this video. So let me know which of these you think I should read. And until next time, happy reading.